So in that previous tutorial, we established a new inventory screen, one that was a little bit more organized for this particular game. And I just wanted to point something out to make things a little bit easier. You might remember we manually changed the sizing here from 400 width to 370, and we did that for both. Rather than deal with the headache of resizing this thing all the time, wherever you created your inventory screen, just go ahead and change it there. Like I changed mine here from 400 to 370, and of course I hit save, so that it's nice and brand new. And then what you want to do is you want to come back into your object and reload that new sprite actually. So delete that and re-add it again so that it has the new width, so we don't have to worry about resizing this thing all the time. Okay, that's the right one. Okay, we don't have to do anything else. That's enough for that. All right, so the next step for our inventory is to get some sprites to show up here on the left that are pictures to correspond with our text. So let's start that. Let's bring in some pictures here. Let's do a plus here, bring in a sprite. I'm going to call this one Potion. The plus here, and I have a little health potion bottle that I'm going to use, and that's 64 by 64. Okay, and I've got a little sword here I'm going to bring in as well that's 64 by 64. I'll call that sword. There's the 64 one. I have a 32 one here also because I may end up using that as the actual weapon for Bob at some point. But for this screen I want to use the 64 by 64. Okay, and the reason why I made these very generic is because you can cheat a little bit, and it's not a bad thing. Let's say we have health potions of different kinds, right? Like we've got a, I don't know, minimum and maximum health potion, right? We should use the same picture if we can, because it'll save us some resources. Same thing with the sword, right? This picture of the sword can stand in for the basic sword, and it can also stand in for the barrel obstructor that we created. All right, and that's not a bad thing. That's actually quite efficient. We do want these to be seen throughout the entire project, so let's set them as global. Okay, and in terms of where we want them to show up, we've actually did a lot of the hard work already. I'll show you what I mean here. So the only thing we really have to worry about is the X position one time, right? We want it to be a certain amount of pixels from the end of our inventory screen. And then the Y position actually stays the same. It's actually the same as the Y positions for these. So let's go into our code. And let's go back into our menu variable and go back into the inventory container. Remember, for each slot we set up a text X and a text Y, and those kept the coordinates for our text objects. Let's go back into these now and add two more and call these Pic X and Pic Y. Now you're probably tempted to just say, well, I'll just use the text Y instead, and you could do that. It would work actually, but you may in the future want to change the position of these objects. So why not just go the extra distance and put them in right now. Let's get 2 here. For each slot, we need a pic X and a pic Y. Okay, we got one more. All right, and we can actually hard code some of this already too, because like I said, the Y value is going to stay the same as its corresponding slot. So, for example, the text Y of 90 is going to be 90 here as well for pic Y. 165, 240, 315, and 390. The X value for each is going to stay the same because we want it all lined up. And we want to give at least 64, let's see. Let's do the halfway point here. Let's do 75. Halfway in between our X value. Let's try that and see what happens. So we'll do 75 for each of the pic X values. Okay, that's all of them. Make sure you hit apply before you leave. And let's do a little bit of testing here to just get it up on the screen. So we'll come over into our main events. Let's add a keyboard condition here. Key released. Let's do the D key for debugging. And let's just make the health potion show up where we want it to. So we'll come over here to common objects, common actions for all objects, then objects, and create an object. And we want to show a potion. And again, it's not just the X position here, it's the X position as it relates to the inventory container. So common expression for all objects, position, X position of the object inventory container. Where'd it go? Here it is. So it's 0, zeroed out, starting at the inventory container, and then we need to plus the variable, value of a global variable of menu inventory container pic X. Now let's copy all of this. Change the X's to Y's. Let's associate with the correct layer, which is inventory. And you might recall we need to change the Z order, right? The Z order has to be above at least the inventory container itself. Let's change the Z order for the potion. Where are we? There we go. Let's do 520. So when we hit the D key, it should show up. So here's I, good. There's the D key. So the next one then should show up here as well. Let's get 2 to show up and just see how that looks. change the Z order, 521. We don't want to create a potion. This time we want to create a sword. Okay. And we want to create it at slot 2. Coordinates. There we go, slot 2. Hit OK. Let's see how that looks. Oh, what did I mess up? Right, that looks okay. Okay. Oh, potion. There we go. Okay. Take your time when you're thinking. This is why we do testing here. All right, look at that. Not bad.